Salutations, Aegis Axel, and I don't think I've ever watched a video that made me this upset in quite some time. To not jump off the ledge so quickly about the topic and subject matter of today, I would like to describe the YouTuber we'll be covering in today's video. Alex Meyers is a commentator initially that turned into animated film and media reviewer, and has jettisoned himself into the atmosphere in terms of popularity. His unique animation style of presentation complements his videos so well and provides a thrilling and engaging watch when we're watching his movie reviews. Typically, there is just a man in front of the camera and he's just discussing his views and beliefs about a particular video. There is also another person who will be discussed in this video, but that'll be at the later half of this video because his problems aren't as egregious as the ones I found in Alex Meyers' video. Now, most of the time period, his engagement with the media in turn is mostly a jovial and more comedic nature, mostly prioritizing being funny over the media in itself. Like, the media is somewhat of a tapestry, a background noise for just the comedy and jokes he wants to execute. And most of the time period, I wouldn't take his videos seriously. However, he prefaces this video differently than most of his other videos. In this particular video, he is attempting to make an argument morally for the character that is in this movie. And this movie is Obsession, a movie that has also blown up in popularity, an indie film that was produced with $1 million that made well beyond what its initial budget was, and is a darling of mainstream media and discourse. And I think that's a myriad of reasons as to why, and I have my own video about it that's going to come out soon. But what I will say here is that there's a lot of things that are left up to interpretation, and there's a lot of secondhand information that allows you to connect a lot of strings of the movie together, and I enjoyed it myself. But for this particular video, this video will be a response video, and I believe this to be one of the worst videos that Alex Meyers has ever created on his channel. And I believe only by surgically dissecting this movie and reinserting meaningful and important context that I believe, now I'm going to say very strongly, it is a fact that it is deliberately left out in order to provide the uninformed a very weird perception and a more kinder and softer reflection of our main character, who has exceptionally dubious morality. So, without further ado.
Why?
My dad's dying.
And you know, to Bear's credit, he's not immediately jumping at the chance to take advantage of her or whatever. Like, he gives her privacy and space. He doesn't want to make it weird. He turns around when she takes her shirt off. And like, based on what people were saying about this movie online, I expected Bear to be this like horribly angry, misogynistic incel dude, right? But like, up until this point, he's just some super socially awkward loser who has a crush on a girl.
At the 9-minute marker, 9 minutes and 18 seconds to be precise, because for the most part, there's nothing exactly wrong that is said within the video. However, this is where issues cropped up, because he describes Bear as being some angry incel individual, despite the fact that most videos and analysis that are about this aren't even stating that. In fact, majority of people seem to be describing Bear as the nice guy.
Villainous. Bear is a nice guy archetype. He's friends with women, but he's awkward around them. He's insecure. He has a hard time speaking his mind. Outside of his immediate friend group, he seems quite isolated. And we see this nice guyness play out when he offers to drive Nikki home, not out of the goodness of his heart, but because he has an ulterior motive. He's not driving her home because that's his friend and she needs a ride. He's driving her home because he likes her and he wants her to like him back and he wants to tell her.
The person who puts forward a facade for the purposes of coming across very nice and courteous and all the more appreciated of, but there are alternative measures and purposes behind the nice nature. Think of Drake saying, "I'm such a gentleman, you should give it up for me. Look at how I'm dressing all my napkins and my cutlery.
I'm just such a gentleman, you should give it up for me. Look at how I'm placing all my napkins and my cutlery."
And or just looking at some movies that happened in the early 90s, like American Pie, how the character is so nice and doesn't really have a personality, discerning one at the very least, or charismatic beyond the fact that he is very nice.
You have no idea why I'm angry?
Is it because we have a test tomorrow? Sometimes I get cranky when I know I have a big test to study for.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
From the videos I just shown you right now on screen, the discourse seems to be primarily about the fact that Bear is a nice guy and he's very predatorial in that nature. He's very hidden about his motivations and his character in that way. Most of the videos discussing him don't seem to describe him the way you're saying. Also, you say to his credit, he doesn't take advantage of the situation. But that's wrong too.
I have never seen you act like this before. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Must be pretty fucked up.
Yes, I know. Which is why I think you should go home.
I just don't know if I can be alone right now.
Why?
My dad's dying.
Nikki, no. I'm so sorry.
Up to this point within the narrative, Bear snaps the One Wish Willow, making Nikki's behavior very erratic. Now, he is skeptical and has some level of inclination as to what is transpiring, but due to his realistic skepticism, he doesn't exactly immediately attribute her behavior to the wish he made. Again, to reiterate, that's all well and good. However, the bigger problem, if we just take it at face value and believe that the One Wish Willow isn't actually intervening in the way Nikki is acting, let's describe to us what Nikki is actually going through. Nikki herself has stated that she must be really drunk. Nikki also states that she just can't be alone due to losing her father. A little bit of a narrative intrigue that occurs here is that Nikki's eyes are dry, which to show us, the audience, that the wish is taking over Nikki, and Nikki is trying to say anything that could get her inside the house. But operating without the One Wish Willow in mind, Nikki is mentally impaired due to the intoxication that is brought about due to the alcohol they had at the bar, and is extremely emotionally vulnerable as a consequence of her father's soon passing, and currently trying to reconcile with the losing of a parental figure. Knowing all of this, Bear offers his home and company as refuge, and gets into bed with her after she takes off her bra. Not her bra, but she takes off her shirt and begins to kiss upon Bear. If it had not been for true Nikki coming forth and acting the way she did, surprised and horrified of a bunch of actions that aren't not her own, Bear would have gone through with kissing her and potentially more.
What the fuck? Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
This, to me, shows a predatory nature within Bear's behaviors, because if a person is currently going through a down spiral with their parents, doesn't show you any sort of immediate intrigue, and also has stated that they are so induced by alcohol that their faculties are a bit impaired, for you to then go on and kiss them and potentially sleep with them does come across as taking advantage of that person, and it's something that you leave out of your video. In fact, you don't show these two characters kissing. Say, to his credit, he doesn't take advantage of the situation and conveniently skip past that moment within the video.
Up until this point, he's just some super socially awkward loser who has a crush on a girl, and he uses a $7 wishing toy that he assumes is not going to work. And then when Nikki starts acting like this, he's very confused and put off by it.
What were you doing?
I was just going to the bathroom.
Can you lay with me?
I don't know, Nikki.
Which would have added more evidence as to why Nikki is acting like that her behavior seems very erratic and different. The two instances in which Nikki emerges to the forefront to be horrified by her behavior and why she's even acting like that are taken out of this portion of the movie and are not even addressed. So I wonder why that is.
Obviously, things get different later on, but at least up to this point, Bear has no idea that the wishing willow worked. And again, to his credit, the very next day he immediately tells Ian that he thinks something's wrong with Nikki. Like he seems genuinely concerned.
Just pretend like we're laugh.
Yeah.
I think Nikki is going through something. What? I don't know, dude. She was acting so weird. Like she would
Like what? Is she okay?
No.
Now, I've seen a lot of people saying that this part is showing how Bear's trying to make Nikki seem crazy to other people or whatever, but again, he has no way of knowing that the toy worked.
Reason I've been providing clips throughout my video is to show that this discourse is actually transpiring. For Alex Meyers' video, he continuously says that people are having this discourse about Nikki and that Bear is attempting to make Nikki seem crazy, but he provides no examples of people actually saying the things he's describing here. This is where I become more infuriated because I understand the intentions behind the video, because I'm a video creator in myself, and I'm going to wrap that up with something I want to give you as a meta commentary towards the end of the video. But again, I want to point out how lacking in any examples he has for the discourse he says is transpiring.
Talked to Nikki, and she said that she was on some drugs or whatever, and so maybe that explains why she was acting so erratic, like when she and Bear kissed earlier.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
You kissed me.
I know, I thought I saw something.
So at this point, Bear thinks that Nikki was acting weird, kissed him, freaked out, etc. because she was on drugs, right? So again, to him, in this moment, it all seems totally above board.
But it isn't all above board. We're gonna go back to that moment within the film. As I've already stated prior, Nikki was in an emotionally and mentally impaired state, and then Bear was still willing to kiss her. Bear's defense here, however, is that if he knew she was on ENDT, he would have never have kissed her.
I was on MDMA and wasted.
That's okay. Do you remember stuff?
Some of it. I mean, so if I was weird, that's why. And my dad made me a mess, and so I did things I probably wouldn't have done otherwise. And I'm not saying that you took advantage of me.
Nikki, I didn't know you were on drugs.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that.
Not saying what?
You took advantage of me.
I don't think.
And would have never had tried to go along with her advances in her kissing him, emphasizing his importance and genuine concern about the consensual nature of their relationship. However, with everything established, that has already proven to be a farce, so I don't know why you're arguing in that nature, and I don't know why you would then reinsert it back into the movie, knowing what you know at this point within the narrative. This isn't just the one time this has occurred. This has occurred 2 times where Nikki doesn't seem to even recognize why she's doing something or doesn't seem to understand her own behaviors.
Drunk.
No, I'm not. Wait, what the fuck?
Nikki, what the fuck? Are you okay?
I'm acting so weird. What the fuck?
I would hope that you, for one, wouldn't just go along with it despite her continuously showing that she doesn't seem to understand her own behaviors and still kiss on her and potentially do more, because Bear, in that moment of time, if she had put sex on a table, he would have taken advantage of that woman. I have no reason to think otherwise. Because despite knowing how mentally impaired her mental faculties were at that time with the information that was provided to him, his defense of his behavior at that time was, "You kissed me." We end up with a very, very questionable way of looking at, well, SA. In Alex Meyers' mind, that SA is only if you do something explicitly without someone's consent. Think of someone being assaulted while they're sleeping, or somebody is physically overpowering somebody and then assaulting them. However, there are different instances where there is dubious and questionable behavior, like when Nikki states that she's pretty fucked up after drinking all those alcoholic beverages she had throughout the night, as well as stating that she's incredibly emotionally vulnerable due to the inevitable passing of her father. This is not somebody you should think about having sex with, and it's quite questionable that Bear thinks about it, and if the offer was on the table, he would absolutely take advantage of it. Bear's kind, but his kindness comes from a blatant and quite obvious self-interest. Now, to reiterate, it isn't SAing in the traditional sense, and I wouldn't say that Bear is a sexual predator off of this moment alone. But it's certainly a red flag for someone to express to you that they're extremely emotionally vulnerable and also have drunken alcohol, and so to some degree they are mentally impaired and can't properly make decisions, and you still take that person on kissing them and potentially going further. That is an insane red flag. One could even question if she was even in her mind at that time period. There was a time period where people do black out while drinking, right? You understand that. And if that person had came to their senses and found out that they had had sex with Bear, you do realize that's how cases of SA occur, right?
Okay, see, this is my point. Like, given the circumstances, Bear's being pretty normal about this, okay? Given what he does and does not know by this point in the movie, like, he could have slept with her, or he could have taken some kind of advantage of her, but he was rather...
Texas weird flex, but okay.
Now, suddenly, Bear gets a phone call from Ian. See, remember when Nikki told Bear that her dad was, like, sick or whatever? And Bear told that to Ian, and apparently Ian looked into this, because as far as Ian knew, Nikki hated her dad and hasn't seen or talked to him in, like, years.
I'm not gonna tell Sarah about this because I don't want to spread drama. I looked into Nikki's dad having cancer, and he's healthy as a baby.
The heck does that mean? My dude, babies just have constant projectile vomit and diarrhea. The heck you talking about? Also, how exactly would you find this out? Like, pretty sure you can't just call up a hospital and they tell you someone's medical history. Okay, so is Ian lying about this? Or was Nikki lying to Ian and Sarah about her dad this whole time?
It's weird how you go on to hypothesize why he says this, and one, you seem to be unfamiliar with the phrase "as healthy as a baby." It is a idiom. I don't know what to tell you, but furthermore, infinitely more damaging in this movie is how you seem to forget. Well, Ian goes on to say this.
I'm not gonna tell Sarah about this because I don't want to spread drama. I looked into Nikki's dad having cancer, and he's healthy as a baby. He's been to work like every day.
Yeah, which is far more supportive evidence that he actually went out of his way to go check on her father and to see that he's been working every single day from the time frame in which he was told that Nikki's father has cancer. You know, some complementary supportive evidence to his claim. It's always funny when a person of this nature, a cartoon or a media reviewer, attempts to make a movie seem stupid or filled with plot holes, when in actuality there's just a moment of them clearly just misremembering important details, coming across as observant and very perceptive to the ones who are completely uninformed and have not watched the movie. But don't worry, I've inserted a clip just to let everyone know that you just have some level of dementia. Don't worry, I've reinserted the context that's very important for what was said. I hope that you're happy about that.
Here's where Bear starts to maybe kind of realize what's really going on here.
Bear, I love you so much. I don't think I could live without you.
You love me more than anyone in the world?
Yes, more than anyone.
Now, okay, up to this point, I feel like Bear has plausible deniability. I mean, there's no way he would have known the cheap toy would work. He was genuinely concerned for Nikki the day after it started, and he refused to take advantage of her even when it was, like, presented to him, right? I mean, she kissed him after all, right? Now,
right, wrong, and disturbingly gross. But okay. Alex, this just seems like on par with somebody who brings home an intoxicated friend and has sex with them and says they seem like they wanted it despite the fact that they were clearly impaired and couldn't meaningfully consent to what was going to transpire. You don't want to sound like the type of person defending that.
Halfway point of the movie, he does finally start to realize that the wish actually worked. But like even then, like literally every rom-com is about trying to find a way to get the other person to like you, or you manufacture a meet cute or whatever, right? Like I've seen some internet comment threads where it's like, he only saw saw her as an object and wanted to remove her autonomy. That's why he made that wish. But like he didn't wish that she would do whatever he wanted, or I wish that she would become obsessed with me and me only. He specifically wished that Nikki would love him more than anyone, which is literally what everyone who has ever had a crush wants. Like every single fanfic about like, golly gee, I sure wish One Direction would kidnap me and fall in love with me all at the same time. Like as if half the girls who saw this movie haven't wished the exact same thing before. Hello, it is I, Willem Dafoe, from the movie The Lighthouse, and I've secretly been in love with you for years.
At this point within the narrative in the movie, Bear understands that his wish has taken place. In fact, going on to ask her, does she love him more than anything in the world? Carefully reiterating his wish to her to confirm that she loves him in that exact same way he described it. And rather than taking him to task for doing that, you decide to go, well, hasn't everyone wished to take away someone's autonomy and to influence their mental state to the point where they are not meaningfully consenting to the relationship they're currently in? No. This is why they're called fan fictions. It would be one thing to have a ridiculous alternative reality in which you can live out all your fantasies and desires of wanting to be with somebody and wanting and desiring a relationship with them, no matter how much it probably wouldn't play out in reality because you have to have mirroring personalities and chemistry with one another. And I know that there are movies about how much you would love to have that one person like you as much as you like them. But again, if anyone were to change that person or individual in order to fit that, that would be immoral. Trying to circumvent an actual meaningful discussion of Bear's moral duplicity in what is occurring right now by making it an oddly exclusively a woman's oriented thing that they somehow wish to take away other people's autonomy and to ensure they have a relationship with an individual seems oddly sexist and weirdly an avoidant nature of trying to just not actually absolve Bear of his actions and what he's occurred and what he has done at this point. And I will say that you are doing that because of something I find out later down the line.
Okay, if Bear had gone to the store specifically and been like, hey, do you have something that'll force a girl to fall in love with me? Or if he like searched on the internet for some kind of like weird ritual that's gonna make anyone fall in love with you, then yeah, that's some funky stuff, man. Or like later on, we find out that maybe Ian and Nikki have been hooking up, right? But Bear doesn't learn this until the very end of the movie. So like, for example, if he'd found this out at the beginning of the movie and he was like, oh, so Nikki's just some slut that bangs every guy except me, huh? Well, I'll show you. Then yeah, he'd be like some misogynistic incel. But
I totally understand that. It would be immoral for Bear to have a wish thing that totally takes away someone's autonomy. But when Bear becomes aware that is exactly what's happening and why she was acting that way, Bear is given one question and inquiry from Willow Nikki, the Nikki that is a byproduct of his wish. She asks him, why does it matter? And Bear responds with, it doesn't.
We are.
Then why does it matter?
Doesn't matter to me.
It's a conversation about you that day you weren't in, and Nikki said she just thought of you like her little brother, or and she like friend zoned you. And look, that may suck to hear, but I just think you gotta know because I don't know. I think she has some kind of ill intentions or something freaking mental is going on, man. And maybe Sarah's jealous and made that up, but like, even if you take that out of the equation, this is strange, dude. It's like Nikki snapped into a different person. She's all of a sudden.
Right, we are then flashbanged by white people sex, in which Bear is essaying Nikki. Nikki has no way to meaningfully consent to anything is transpiring here, but it is meant to be horrifying, and it is horrifying because Nikki doesn't actually enjoy it. It's only for the purposes of satisfying Bear. Bear is the only person that matters in this entire interaction. For her, this is simply just something she's doing in service of satisfying Bear's wants and needs. She is secondary. She is in fact an object in this interaction. The fact that Bear doesn't even notice this or doesn't pick up on how still, emotionless she is during out the entire interaction should put you on to the fact that he is objectifying her in this moment. He's not paying attention to her satisfaction. He's not concerned with her gratification. He is only concerned with how much he is getting off in this particular instance. And boy, guess what he leaves out of his video?
Innocent victim, okay. But I think some of you are a little too quick to attach motivation and subtext to this character that is not based on the movie. Like, it really seems like some of you want him to be a horrible, incel, intentionally malicious guy, regardless of what actually happens in the movie. Even the guy who played Bear himself said this about the character. I never thought of Bear as a villain, but what really drew me to this story was the gray morals of it all. Bear has good in him and has bad in him, like all of us. I do think that he leans more toward the bad in a lot of ways. Fully the antagonist, though? I don't think I would say fully, because the key thing is he didn't know that the wish was going to work. Sure, his desires were incredibly selfish, totally, 100%, but he didn't know the wish was going to work. And you have to assume that this guy was in close talks with the writer-director of the movie the whole time, so basically both of them are saying that Bear is meant to be ambiguous, and you all are just over here like, nyah.
You're wrong and an idiot, but I'll take the time to explain to you why this is an issue. Let's look at the interview that happens May 15th, an interview with the main lead, both of these actors and actresses, and the director discussing the movie at length.
Last question, but I have the question written down here. Like, is Bear a good person? Like, you can argue that he is almost the secret villain of the movie. He's the one who's obsessed at the beginning. He chickens out. You can almost argue he takes advantage of Nikki in this situation. So I'm very curious, Michael, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I really can't answer that because the whole thing that I loved about the script when I first read it was that it is not black and white. It's this moral gray zone. And I don't think that he's necessarily an evil person, but he's not good either. Really, he has all of it in him, and that's just, I love movies like that.
The morals. And when I say that, I'm also including like the bad moral choices because there are mostly it's that, right?
So he does a few. He gets a little questionable.
Or yeah. And I want to just like take this moment to say like Bear is the villain, okay? Like Bear, there's some grabby headlines out there where it's like Michael Johnston doesn't agree that Bear's the villain. I'm like, no way. Like, hold on a second. Bear is the villain. Like,
commit to this.
Yes,
he can't actually, and he's like, he should try to throw this up.
Absolutely. So originally in the script, he just takes the pills and is resigned to his fate. And we filmed that, and it was great. We had a really great take, and Curry was like, all right, moving on. And then I got that idea. I was like, wait a minute. We know that the wish is going to be made, that Nikki makes the wish. So wouldn't it be perfect if he, true to his character, cowards out? Like, again, like him taking the pills certainly isn't doing the right thing, but at least he's like doing it. There's like, it's not redeemable. Like that action is not redeeming him in any way, but at least it was like, of all the steps in the wrong direction he was taking, at least he could like have done one thing. And I just thought to myself, no, that ain't Bear. Bear's a coward.
Yeah, he's not.
And
Michael prefaces his response with, I can't answer that, which should really inform your mind when reading his answers going forward, as well as the article you posted in your video. The Hollywood Reporter article you posted in your video was May 18th, 3 days as the movie was still in theaters. The time sensitivity is incredibly important to the movie in and of itself, because they still want to encourage people to go see the movie. Discourse and discussions are very important to encouraging people to see the movie, for analysis, for discussion to brew and to be blended and to be hypothesized by the audience at large. It is incredibly important that discourse continuously transpires. Now, well, the director doesn't seem to have the same concern as the main actor for the movie, Michael Johnston.
I'm glad we get to talk about this and hash this out.
I mean, I think there's definitely there's no question that he starts to make some pretty bad choices as far as now if he did go down this rabbit hole of trying to figure out how to fix this sooner, he doesn't even try to fix it until a person is dead. which is a little too late. And, you know, I think that if he would have tried to fix it as soon as he knew what was going on, there would be a bigger argument to defend him. But that's not really the movie that I wanted to write.
Right.
However, this answer that's provided is clearly to encourage the audience to see the movie and come to their own conclusions, because he wants to encourage people and more people to see the movie. It is entirely within this time frame and framework that he's operating under. Also, the director very much clearly believes the main character to be the antagonist, and your very, very presumptuous logic that is ultimately loud and wrong assumes, well, I guess since he thinks that, then that means the director thinks that. Really? I mean, the director has done multiple interviews and has spoken at length about the movie. Have you bothered to look any of those up? No. Okay. Alright. Well, some of us were in classes where we couldn't leave them, and all of our classes were in one place, and it was a very small room. You seem to be one of those reviewers. Totally understand it. I can speak to you in a small baby tone if that sort of research is insurmountable for you to do. I'm only acting this way because of the magnitude of the subject matter and how patronizing he is to anyone who disagrees with this assessment that Bear is in fact the villain, when the director is saying as much, and then Bear, the actor Michael Johnston, goes on an interview with a podcast later on the line when the movie is no longer in theaters to just say unequivocally the following. So in Michael Johnston's personal opinion about the movie, he also believes that the character is in fact the villain. Even in his Hollywood Reporter interview, you can see there's a strong emphasis on I love the discourse. People are discussing the movie at extensive lengths. He wants to inspire people to talk more about the movie. And if he gives a definitive say on either or, it ultimately acts as an arbiter to what people should feel about the movie. And I believe that Michael Johnston didn't want to act as that, which is why he kind of refrained from having any sort of opinion. While granted, if you were to accuse him of fence-sitting, then you would be well within your right to do so. However, he does go on to later clarify his actual opinion and positions on the character. The podcast came out July 1st, your video came out July 4th, so it's not like this information wasn't out there. So you could have looked this up, but even without that information, Hollywood Direct and even the initial live interview, he prefaces this with a kind of decorum that should be expected of someone who wants you to go make up your mind and make up your own conclusions from the movie, who doesn't want to spoil it too much with this discussion and discourse about the movie because it kind of sours people's injury to go see the movie themselves. The movie inspires a lot of discourse, which is important, and it's fun to discuss the movie at length. However, I think it's also exceptionally important that him as a person, he did not want to come across as an arbiter as to what you were supposed to think, and he wanted to encourage more people to see the movie so they can come to their own conclusions. This is why he says things to the effect of, you know I can't say that, you know I can't answer that, which is why he gives the fence-sitting answer, and why in his Hollywood report he says it has invoked a lot of discourse, which is what his answer clearly seems to inspire. But the title for his Hollywood reporter is, you guys think Bear is the villain? He seems to disagree, which I don't think was the intention behind what he had said there. So, yeah, you're an idiot.
About the Disney Channel original movie Zapped or 16 Wishes? Because fundamentally, these are all the same movie. Like, remember Descendants 1, Mal cast a spell that made Ben fall in love with her? Where's all the Reddit threads about that? I don't see no 2-hour video essays.
This is also perplexing because this is the second time where he's made something a gender-oriented thing and quietly make it sound like there's a double standard oriented around the genders in a particular subject matter he's discussing. He did it earlier in the video where he says, oh, it's a problem when a male wants a woman's agency stripped away. I don't see anyone having any problem when a woman wishes for such a thing like that. No, I don't know why we're particularly hyper-focusing on when women do it, but but this is the second time they have done it, and they've shown you a myriad of movies in which women are doing it, where the whole takeaway is in fact that it's a bad thing to do. Zapped is literally a movie just talking about how bad it is to wish for that sort of thing to occur, and how no one should have sort of power, because when it falls into the wrong hands, in quotation marks, all sort of bad things can happen. So naturally, you shouldn't want that to happen. And secondly, one of the most popular videos discussing this movie is from Danny Gonzalez, and he has 10 million views on his video.
It's me.
She just forced a guy to kiss her. Disney, what are we doing here, dude? What's going on? We need to have a talk with the writers of these movies. Anyway, Zoe feels bad after this, and she gets all stressed because there is a college scout coming to the basketball game.
It's one of the biggest videos on his channel, so I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Seems like you love to presume hypocrisy without doing a modicum of research.
Like, remember Descendants 1, Mao cast a spell that made Ben fall in love with her? Where's all the Reddit threads about that? I don't see no 2-hour video essays.
For me? Yeah. It's just for later, you know, when you need strength. Some carbs to keep up your energy.
Always thinking. But I can't wait.
No!
This is really good. Now?
Do you feel okay?
You bet.
Would you say that you're still in with that you have very strong feelings for me?
Not sure. I mean, let's give the anti-love potion a few minutes to take effect.
It's weird how you go on to bring this up, despite the fact that in Descendants, she makes an anti-love potion, so she goes to considerable lengths to, I don't know, fix the problem she created.
You know, I made a video years ago about the show WandaVision, and everyone got so mad at me when I said it's crazy that we're supposed to be so understanding about how Wanda enslaves an entire town and uses magic to force her husband to stay with her and have kids with her. Isn't that interesting?
This next response, I have to preface it with something. I have not seen WandaVision, and maybe one day I'll go out of my way to watch that movie and TV show series that's on Disney Plus and find out if this is true. But due to the way that Alex Meyers goes about his criticisms or his detractors, something gives me the impression that he's not even being honest about the critics and what people are saying. Most people aren't really that upset with him. I am, personally, in this video, I'm going to say it, I am enraged, I am irate, I am the angry liberal, grr, all that stuff, whatever you need to tell yourself at night to tell you you're not a, well, should I say it?
Right in the mouth!
In this video. But I'm going to put some faith in the commenters of your video on your WandaVision video. Not only is one of your largest videos with 90,000 likes and almost 2 million views, something interesting is happening in the comment section, and perusing through some of it, I'm going to just read off one of the comments here. She's just sad. Her parents died. Her brother died from Ultron when he actually had a role in creating. She was viewed as a terrorist in the role she couldn't have done much more about in Lagos. He had to kill Vision and then watch him die again. And she had to watch Vision's body be dismembered by Hardaway, talked down like he was nothing more than wires and metal. She's more than just a little sad. A lot of the stuff I actually did watch. I did watch her lose her brother. I did watch her have to make an alternative reality, or desire an alternative reality where children did exist. And yeah, I did watch Endgame where her children were not children, but Vision was killed. Another comment says the following. Most of the comments are correctly pointing out that Wanda is not just simply sad and created the hex, so I wanted to also state that she didn't intentionally create it either. It was born from her overwhelming grief without her consciously wanting this to happen. In fact, she was confused as to how it even happened for a large part of the show.
Walking their dogs, mowing their lawns, getting them to dentist appointments on time. I don't know how any of this started in the first place.
Oh, Wanda, what you're doing here, it's wrong. It is wrong.
Yeah, taking a precursory look at WandaVision, I might not be the most informed, but even watching that one scene, there does seem to be a level of this that happens subconsciously without her know-how. So, the way you described your opinions and your critics who disagreed with what you said, not only do not most of the comments and the most popular comments jokingly show how they disagree with what you said, but weren't even rude about what was happening and your assessment of Wanda's grief. So yeah, good to know you're just going to use that so jovial nature and way of describing things as a way to just outright be dishonest as to what was occurring in your comment section.
I found this comment in a Reddit thread that puts it so perfectly, so I'm just gonna read part of it. But remember, this sub attracts the most obsessed fans of the movie. They flex about watching it at the theater like 10 times already. They make several posts a day about it. They make crazy over-analysis and theories that have no ground in the reality of the film, etc. It's not just a movie for them. They're incredibly emotionally invested and attached to an unhealthy degree. It's almost cultish at this point. And people who are chronically online or addicted to a piece of media aren't the most emotionally stable or media literate to begin with. So a lot of it comes from an emotional standpoint, hence the refusal to engage with the material in good faith and just making it say what they want the movie to say in an over-the-top, sanctimonious, dogmatic way. It's like a ritual for them, a catharsis. See also Encanto. But
again, we're left with literally no example of what this person's even talking about. You could even bring up that one video that was describing how Bear is more evil than the Joker, and then you would have some reference for what you're talking about. But again, I'm left with nothing. There's this person who's just waxing poetically and is very masturbatory about his perception of people who like this movie. So I would like an example of what you're talking about, but no, we are given nothing. Good to know. You know, something that could show you did a little bit of research. Again, I'm really going off on the research thing since he seems to be so sanctimonious about everybody coming to the wrong conclusion when in actuality you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
the more the real Nikki tries to break free, the more the demon has to overcorrect. Once Bear realizes that this happened because of the wish,
the cafe scene is clearly the moment where he understands why Nikki is acting like that. And to reiterate, he asks Nikki if her affection for him and if she loves him similar to the way he worded his wish. It is a very conscious choice by him to see if the wish is taking full effect. This is why I described it the way I did later in the video.
On the back of the box, and he calls it to try and get his wish changed.
Is her love real?
Just because you chose this for her doesn't make it less real.
Okay, then I would like to cancel.
We don't really do that.
What?
I love how chill the wizards are in this movie. Like, this dude's like, yeah, so your girlfriend's soul is like trapped here or whatever. Anyway, I gotta go reheat my nachos, bro. Glaucoma or something.
Do you want to talk to her? You want to talk to her?
Who is that?
Nikki.
Now, just to be clear, I'm not defending all of Bear's actions, okay? Because at this point in the movie, he knows the wish worked, and he knows the real Nikki's soul is like trapped or whatever, but he keeps on dating her and tries to like continue on as if this isn't the most horrible situation anyone could imagine.
And also, why is no one talking about the fact that the most important thing to him is the fact that Nikki loves him for real? But the guy responds with, just because you chose this for her, acknowledging that this is not something that was birthed uniquely from Nikki. It was something you imposed on her will. Also, the fact that you don't acknowledge that Bear also tries to get his wish altered, despite with all that knowledge that Nikki is in fact being controlled by his wish, he doesn't attempt to free her from the shackles that he put her in, but merely tries to make it more accommodating for him.
This isn't the most horrible situation anyone could imagine. Although, to be fair, what is he supposed to do? Because if he breaks up with her, she's gonna hunt him down. And the only other choice, as we learn, is that the spell will break if he dies.
What the hell? What can I do then?
When you die, the wish will go away.
You're sure there's nothing else I can do?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you live. Sounds to me like you have a moral obligation to be there for her.
It's not being fair, it's ignoring that for the longest period of time, Bear was operating as if there was nothing wrong. When he found out that that Nikki was being informed by the Wish Willow, he does nothing. He takes advantage fully and completely of the situation. Only when the situation becomes unentertainable for them and inconvenient to himself, he tries to have his wish altered, which shows how completely self-centered he is about everything. And something I would like to pull out to Michael, again describing how he feels about Bear, stating that he agrees with the notion that he didn't love Nikki. He didn't care about her well-being, but he loved the idea of Nikki.
Idolizing, there's this limerence for this girl. She's the thing that's gonna fix all of his problems or keep him from having to deal with his issues. And yeah, so the hints are being dropped. It's like, well, you just lost a pet, but also he got his grandma's house, so his grandma has passed away. There's not much mention of his parents. It seems like a pretty lonely guy. And even though we have all these friends,
which is why he tries to keep her in the situation she's currently in. And would have found out early on that Nikki's behavior is a byproduct of the wish and could have found another Wish Willow and had someone else make a wish. Doing all these things wouldn't have required any effort. It was only when the situation became unsustainable for him that he go out to sincerely put forward some effort to correct what he had did.
Now this is another part I've seen so many posts about that I find so baffling. Like I've literally seen people say like, if Bear truly loved Nikki, he would have killed her when she asked. Cause like it's just that easy, you know? And then what, he goes to prison for life? Obviously he doesn't want to do that. Also, it's well established in this movie that he's like a low self-esteem, probably depressed loser guy. So like of course he's not gonna suddenly do this completely out of character thing. Now that, and he knows the real Nikki is trapped, but he still keeps going on like this.
Anything you want me to
No,
be.
don't say that.
Anything you want me to be. Let me be Nikki.
You're not being like me.
I can't be Nikki!
But this also brings up another interesting thematic element of the movie, I guess, which is like people are saying, you know, if he truly loved Nikki, then he would do this incredibly selfless thing for her. But remember, his wish was not that Nikki would become obsessed with him. He wished that she would love him. So why isn't her love for him as selfless as you're claiming that his love for her should be? You know what I'm saying? Again, I'm not saying Nikki's the bad guy or Bear is some like blameless victim or whatever. I'm just saying there's many ways you could look at this movie. Like,
no, that was not funny. You're an idiot. The thing that makes that idea kind of stupid is because Bear didn't wish that she loved him the same way he loved her. He said, I wish Nikki loved me more than anything in the fucking world. I wish Nikki loved me more than anyone in the fucking world. So, therefore, Nikki loves Bear more than herself. She thinks about Bear. Bear is the only thing that prioritizes her entire being and personhood. And Bear was comfortable with that. Bear treated her more like a pet that would just come home to him every day. She stayed at the job she told him she did not care about.
Not seeing you every day.
Just not happy there.
I mean, it's just a job, Nikki.
Yeah, well, I want to write.
I mean, you are.
No, I feel like I need a big life change. I'm not feeling love, and I want to feel love if I want to bring the story to life.
Bear did not concern himself with the fact that she told her that she didn't like the job. But Bear only internalized it as, I'm not going to see you, and that this is selfish because of what he wanted at the end of the day. So when you say, well, if he really loved it, because he didn't, he would have done this because he is imprisoning a person. He is doing something that is completely selfish. He is only being considered to himself and therefore doesn't truly love Nikki. He is infatuated with Nikki. He wanted Nikki to be obsessed with him. Just like the movie, his obsession invoked her to basically be a possession in his life. That's what he wanted at the end of the day. The way she operates, the way he acts, he didn't care about. He knew things that were fundamental to others, like what type of stone she wanted. Would have been an easy ask if he actually genuinely cared, but she didn't bother to ask. Or let's talk about the fact that this would have rang alarm bells to anyone else. The fact that she hated her father, that everyone else seems to know about except for Bear, which is why it convinces Bear that she's upset about her father, despite the fact that most people don't think she even fucks with her father.
Really? That's what she told me. Her dad in Washington that she doesn't care about.
It still hurts, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But her dad is dying. So, you know, it's pretty
pretty.
Isn't she like not close with him at all?
Which was something that he would have known if he actually cared to know who Nikki was. Being dishonest by playing word games despite not paying attention to the exact same wording he used, despite the fact that it shows up in your video and you edit it out to ensure you get that ad revenue, seems deliberately dishonest and just trying to put forward propaganda where you play word games and say, well, doesn't he want love the exact same way that Nikki wants? He wants Nikki to love him? No, he didn't want Nikki to love him that way. He wanted Nikki to be obsessed with him, to be infatuated with him to an unhealthy degree. She loves him more than anything in the world. That's the thing he wished for. Another moment that shows a either deliberate duplicitous in how immoral his behavior has been up to this point is that you've continuously tried to paint him as a good guy. You say he doesn't take advantage of him while leaving out the essay that happens in the video.
I know, that's why I'm saying you didn't.
Okay, see, this is my point. Like, given the circumstances, Bear's being pretty normal about this, okay? Given what he does and does not know by this point in the movie, like, he could have slept with her, or he could have taken some kind of advantage of her.
In fact, you do not refer to it throughout the entirety of this video. You then go on to say that he doesn't take advantage of the situation, despite the fact that he knows about it and attempts to ameliorate his wish to make it more accommodating to himself. You also leave out that when he does attempt to kill himself, he attempts to throw up the literal pills he does take.
Anyway, so the very end of the movie, Nikki has killed Sarah and Ian. Bear realizes that there's no way out of this unless he dies. So he eats all the rest of his grandma's Flintstone vitamins, I assume, and dies in the arms of Nikki, who is finally freed from the spell.
The music goes flat to show that Bear at the end of the day is cowardice. And this was something that was done by Michael, you know, the person you decided to reference, but don't seem to know the actual opinions of, because, you know, you seem to be a weird, I don't know, I'm going to show a visual on screen to just kind of give you a reference of what I'm referring to here. But with all that out of the way, the weird thing about this movie that I really have a strong distaste for is how you seem to leave out the fact that he tries to throw up the pills, because at the end of the day, they wanted to convey to you that it's very much in character for him to do, that he is selfish.
True to his character, cowards out. Like, again, like him taking the pills certainly isn't doing the right thing. But at least he's like doing it. There's like it's not redeemable. Like that action is not redeeming him in any way. But at least it was like, of all the steps in the wrong direction he was taking, at least he could like have done one thing. And I just thought to myself, no, that ain't Bear. Bear's a coward.
That he is self-centered. He's only thinking about himself. He backs out of something he knows he should do to free Nikki, and he doesn't do it. He only overdoses as a consequence of Willow Nikki snapping the one-wish Willow and wishing for Nick to love her the same way he loved him. I mean, he only way he even is liberated. I'm not going to fix this. I'm getting close to the end of the video. The only way this is fixed is that she snaps it, resulting in Bear loving her the same way she loves him. Willow Nikki, not the real Nikki. Yeah, keep shit talking people without their spine to show an example. Yeah, you're definitely the brave one here. I'm better than all y'all because I'm not obsessed with the movie. I'm just gonna shit talk everybody else who decides to have any sort of analysis or dares to look any deeper into the movie. Good job. Yeah, you're the good guy here, dude. This is what we call rubber boot stamping. He pretends that his opinion on the movie is so much different and nuanced than everyone else's, only to ultimately agree with everyone, despite the fact that the contents of his movie review does not dictate that, does not illustrate that idea, and easily and clearly is leaving out information to give people the false perception that he desires to invoke onto the audience, either through him not actually watching the movie or through him overtly lying about what has transpired in the movie. And I want to get to his comment because I think this really nails the nail on the. Unfortunately, some of you are doing the thing I talked about in the video. You're only seeing and hearing what you want out of my video instead of actually listening to what I'm saying. I've said multiple times in the video, Bear is bad. No, you didn't. You actually spent a considerable amount of time downplaying his actions, but let's continue the comment. He does bad things. He is the villain. At no point within the movie do you describe him as the villain. You spent the majority of actually downplaying and talking down his actions. You only at the end of the video describe him and conclude that he is in fact the villain. You only at one other point within the movie say, maybe he is as bad as other people have been saying he is. My video is a reaction to people saying that he is some kind of evil incel from the beginning, which again, you provide no examples of, so I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. I wanted to look at how he goes from just a normal guy into the villain. I say in the video that after he realizes the wish worked, he goes on to be a bad guy and gets worse and worse. I didn't feel the need to throw in every instance of him being bad, like the post-dinner scene, because they are all covered by the statement itself. Yeah, no, it wasn't. No. I literally say he's bad multiple times. I am not defending Bear. Yes, you are. What are you talking about? You literally say, what is he supposed to do? That is a defense of his character. You also say he doesn't do the bad thing like take advantage of the situation. That is defending him. There are multiple instances in this video where you in fact defend him. Don't lie now. But some of you are literally hearing what you want to hear and not hearing the actual words I say in the video. Okay, I'm gonna post instances of you defending him right here.
That's dying.
And to Bear's credit, he's not immediately jumping at the chance to take advantage of her or whatever. Like, he gives her privacy and space. He doesn't want to make it weird. He turns around when she takes her shirt off. And like weird loser who has a crush on a girl and he uses a $7 wishing toy that he assumes is not going to work. And then when Nikki starts acting like this, he's very confused and put off by it.
What were you doing?
I was just going to the bathroom.
Can you lay with me?
I don't know, Nikki.
Obviously, things get different later on, but at least up to this point, Bear has no idea that the wishing willow worked. And again, to his credit, the very next day he immediately tells Ian that he thinks something's wrong with Nikki. Like he seems genuinely concerned.
I'm not saying that.
Not saying what?
You took advantage of me.
I don't think I didn't.
I know, that's why I'm saying you didn't.
Okay, see, this is my point. Given the circumstances, Bear's being pretty normal about this, okay? Given what he does and does not know by this point in the movie, he could have slept with her, or he could have taken some kind of advantage of her, but he was rather gentlemanly at the time. I mean, now, okay, up to this point, I feel like Bear has plausible deniability. I mean, there's no way he would have known the cheap toy would work. He was genuinely concerned for Nikki the day after it started, and he refused to take advantage of her even when it was, presented to him, right? I mean, she kissed him after all, right? It only seems like a fanfic or whatever that he thinks would have no way of actually coming true. I'm not saying Bear is a blameless, innocent victim, okay? But I think some of you are a little too quick to attach motivation and subtext to this character that is not based on the movie. It really seems like some of you want him to be a horrible, incel, intentionally malicious guy, regardless of what actually happens in the movie. Even the guy who played Bear himself said this about the character. I never thought of Bear as a villain, but what really drew me to this story was the gray morals of it all. Bear has good in him and has bad in him, like all of us. I do think that he leans more toward the bad in a lot of ways. Fully the antagonist, though? I don't think I would say fully, because the key thing is he didn't know that the wish was going to work. Sure, his desires were incredibly selfish, totally, 100%, but he didn't know the wish was going to work.
I wanted to look at how he goes from a normal, kind of depressed guy into the villain, and not that he is the villain from the very beginning. SA is bad. Bear is bad. He does a very bad and selfish thing. I literally say this multiple points in the video. I do not understand how some of you are wildly misinterpreting this video. I am sorry if the way I worded some of my parts made it sound like I was somehow defending what Bear does after the dinner scene. I just didn't think I needed to show every instance of him being bad because I already acknowledge him being bad. No, actually, you spend a considerable amount of time saying he's concerned. He wants to find out what's going on to her. He says that, you say to his credit, he doesn't take advantage of her. And he's genuinely trying to figure out what's going on. And you say that he lives a life with her that is lovely and they do the devil's tango, which is the way you decided to describe S.A. And at no point do you describe what he did to her in the movie as S.A. Even use an excerpt from the actor as a way to argue that Bear isn't the villain of the movie. So it's very weird how you're backtracking in your comment section and claiming, oh, I think Bear's the villain. Weird how you never called him the villain in the movie. I don't know why you decided to lie in the comment section of this video, but that is exactly what you're doing. You are just lying to the audience, saying, I didn't defend Bear. I'm going to show every instance in which you did. By the time you say he does acknowledge the effect of the wish, you go into a random tangent about how, well, isn't this just every movie, especially the ones with females who do this? I'm going to hyper-focus on women who do this. No particular reason, no sexist-oriented reason, no thinly veiled misogynistic reason. I'm obsessed with making all my examples, most of my examples, women-oriented and saying, why are we not berating these women, despite the fact that the narrative and overarching story is that it's wrong to do. Okay, we're almost done, but we're not exactly done. There was a follow-up video called, Okay, Let's Talk About It. It is the follow-up video where he clarifies his stance on Bear's character morality and that his video did not serve as a defense. He's lying, but let's hear him out anyway.
I'm going to keep it brief. I have my phone with me because I took some notes. I don't want to miss anything. And just to clear some things up. So first of all, I'm sorry if I worded my video in a way that made it sound like I am defending rape or pro-rape in some way. That is very much not the intention of the video. As I said in the beginning, it very much was meant to be a good faith sort of attempt at sort of looking at this movie as a work of fiction, as a piece of media to be consumed, the same way you would do with a book or anything like that. So just to clear things up, sexual assault is bad. Bear is bad. What Bear does in the movie, very bad. Bear is the villain of the movie. I think I said this in the video.
Weird how you refrain from calling Bear the villain until the last very seconds of the movie, despite the fact that the majority and the bulk of your review is just you defending Bear's actions, and at no point without the entirety of the review do you describe what he's been doing to Nikki in this movie as rape. But you're using the phrase rape in this video. You can pull up a transcript of the entire video. At no point does he describe what he's doing to Nikki as rape. And that feels intentional. You proceeded to go into a tangent about how, oh, this is not something that bad because he didn't know the one wish willow would work. But then you don't proceed to examine his actions as what they are like because he is aware of the one wish willow being in effect at that diner scene. And the fact that you jump intentionally past that moment is a problem. The fact that when he gets back to the room, you say he doesn't take advantage of the situation, ignoring the fact that when he started kissing her, he was okay with her kissing her, knowing that she was intoxicated and was emotionally vulnerable because of the passing of her own father that she took at face value. That in of itself is kind of exploitative, and the fact that you don't acknowledge that is an issue.
Bear is the villain. Bear does many, many bad things. I elected to not show every single bad thing he did because A, the video was already very long, and B, I had already said that he was bad, so I didn't feel the need to show every example of that because I tried to make it clear that from like the diner scene onward, he is bad. So what he does is bad. Having sex with Nikki after the diner scene, bad. Trying to alter the wish, bad. The full reaction to sleeping Nikki, talking to him like in her sleep or whatever, I didn't show that full thing because I thought I had already said that he was bad, and so his reaction to that is very bad and very telling that he is in fact the villain.
These two things you don't acknowledge in your initial review, bad. Now you're trying to do this weird schoolyard thing where you're like, oh, I guess I have to blatantly state it out because I, for some reason, decide and avoid to even mention that these things are bad. You never at any point mention that he tries to ameliorate his wish. I'm just gonna post a clip here because he never mentions the fact that Nick is trying to, that Bear is trying to alter his wish.
box, and he calls it to try and get his wish changed.
Hello?
What's up?
Is this One Wish Willow?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I was calling to see if there's a way I can alter a wish.
Like to cancel your wish?
No. It's okay to keep the. I just want to know if I can like alter it a little.
So, just so you guys get an idea of who the person who's decided to talk down to you in that video, and then in this video, when he attempts to clarify thoughts he never actually presented in his initial video.
Said that, of course, he's not going to kill her like she asked. That wasn't meant to be a defense of him. That was me simply doing an objective observation that I don't think anyone would have done that in that situation. So to me, it made sense that he made that choice. Not because it's a good choice, but because that seems like a normal reaction, especially for someone who is bad. Like,
except your reaction highlighted how no one should obviously kill nobody. That's not a sensible thing to do it. But that wasn't the reason behind why Bear wasn't doing it. His reasoning was birthed out of selfishness. He felt offended by Nikki not wanting to be with him and felt that she was imprisoned and trapped in being with him because her mind had been altered by a wish that now takes over the agency of her own body, and that Bear had centered it around the fact that she didn't want to be with him and left in defiance of her one request to be freed from that situation. It wasn't informed by the idea of having to kill her. It was informed by the idea of his selfishness.
What would be so bad? What's so bad about being with me?
I've never been with you, Bear. Just kill me, please.
In that moment in time. And the fact that that's not emphasized on is the problem.
But because that seems like a normal reaction, especially for someone who is bad, like Bear. The video was not meant to be a defense of Bear. I think I say that in the video. It is an objective observation of how he gets from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie.
Just wrapping this up now, I really need to say that he says this is not a defense of his character. That's just a lie. He's hoping that you guys just don't remember the video or haven't watched the video, but he clearly makes multiple instances of defending Bear's character and attempts to give him a more charitable perception of the character even after being aware of it. And even during a moment where he's in the call, where he tries to humiliate the wish, he makes it more about the inflection of the individual on the phone and not about the soul being trapped. And even when he does, he says he pretends like he doesn't understand. No, he is pretending like he doesn't understand, but that's what makes him so horrible. It's more or less played off like a con joke, like what he's so not aware. But that should have been a hyper focus of the video, of pointing out how Bear is very much aware and is not clueless as to why this is occurring, and how selfish it is for him to ask her to be just like Nikki, despite the fact he knows this is not Nikki. So all this set aside, I'm done with this video. I might do some more Alex Meyer, I don't fucking care. But I hope you guys took away something from this video. It was a very strenuous watch, and this is a subject matter that's close to me due to people that have dealt with this. And the aversion to actually engaging with the magnitude of what Bear did in the movie, it pissed me off. I'm sorry, I can't hold back the words I want to use, so I'm just going to be blunt. It pissed me off, and I did come across as a bit harsh in this video, but perhaps something will be taken away from Alex, or maybe he'll just go back to, haha, you guys can take me seriously because I'm kind of just joking and I'm going to misrepresent some of the things in the movie for the sake of a joke or for my own propaganda piece about an SA victim, even though I never called it SA, I never described it as SA, and I never talk about rape, but I'm going to candidly say it's rape in my follow-up video like I ever mentioned it. You're disgusting, and you really reviled me with this review. And maybe it was just a misspeak, and maybe you messed up. But the fact that you don't acknowledge it in a mature fashion in this video, like, you know what, I misspoke, I should have addressed it, I should have said something, and the fact that my video is voided of any acknowledgement of the essay that does occur in the movie is a lacking factor of me as a reviewer, and maybe the joking tone was not good in a movie that has sexual assault occurring in it. Maybe next time. I'm not doing my outro. Okay.